bigger harm can be avoided by taking proactive remedial actions in the initial stage of the problem. Thus, the risk identification needs to be done at the earliest. For this, the project manager has to understand the project objectives and understand specific priorities of the key stakeholders. For such understanding, it is a good practice to have discussions between the project manager and the project stakeholders right from the early stages of the project lifecycle. It is important to uncover the maximum number of risks early before they occur and leave their negative impact on the project objectives. There are different risk identification techniques available based on the following distinct criteria. Identification conducted solely by the risk analyst. Identification by the analyst interviewing a member of the project team and the analyst leading a working group. The most commonly used techniques for risk identification are documentation reviews, brainstorming, the nominal group technique, and Delphi technique. First of all, the thing is that what is meant by documentation reviews? These are structural reviews of all the project documentation up to this point in time, including plans, assumptions, previous project files, contracts, and other information. Second one is brainstorming. It was in early 1950, Alex Osborne proposed brainstorming as a problem-solving method, which would produce a much larger quantity of ideas in less time. For conducting a brainstorming session, following setup is required. Prepare the group, that is, make sure of tools, resources, and refreshments, recorders, whiteboards, tea, coffee, post-it. Small group of stakeholders, full-time members of the project team, have key responsibilities, cover critical technologies, and any commercial considerations. Brainstorming group size, it should consist of 7 to 12 members, leaders and associate leader, about 5 regular or core members, and about 5 guests. Panel should be composed of people of the same rank. Define the problem and the objective of the sessions. Give people plenty of quiet time at the start of the session so that they can think over. Reverse the problem or challenge by asking, how could I possibly cause the problem? Or how I could possibly achieve the opposite effect. Normal or nominal group technique, that is NGT. It was developed by Dalbach in 1968, and it is a method as initiating with the group members between 7 to 10 without discussion, writing ideas related to the problem down on a pad of paper. Conducting a NGT techniques include silent generation of idea in writing, round robin feedback from group members to record each idea in a short, distinct phrase on a flip card, discussion of each recorded idea for clarification and evaluation, and individual voting on priority ideas with the group. Any suitable scale could be used by participating for voting. This Delphi technique is basically a very important technique which is used in research methodology also. The Delphi method was originally conceived in 1950 by Olaf Helmer and Norman Dackley of Rand Company, primarily for technology forecasting. It is a method for the systematic collection and correlation of judgments from isolated anonymous respondents on a particular topic through a set of sequential questionnaires combined with summarized information and feedback of opinions derived from early responses. Now, how this Delphi method works. Initially, a selection of panel experts representing broad spectrum of opinion on the issue being examined. There is no rule of thumb for the number of panel members. However, it depends on the complexity of the problem. It is observed that the panel could range from 5 to 30 members, exhibiting knowledge, considerable experience, readiness to contribute to process along with good communication skills are essential elements required in the Delphi panelist. Participants are usually kept anonymous. The moderator or researcher or the project manager construct a series of structured questionnaire and feedback reports for the panel over the course of Delphi. Usually, 3 to 4 iterations are involved till the consensus is achieved. The main advantage of Delphi is that the opinions are individually based and not biased, as the members are kept anonymous and therefore interpersonal conflicts and communication problems do not exist. As the members do not meet at any point, and hence travel expenses are the least. Risk categorization and risk breakdown structure. The purpose of risk identification is to create a long list of risks, but this list at many times hard to understand or manage. The best way to deal with this list of risks is to structure them for better comprehension and visual representation. Once the risk is identified, it is critical to categorize those risks for better understanding. There are many ways to categorize risk. Some ways are by considering when it occurs in the project life cycle. Secondly, by considering which project objectives. And the third one is it is based on the source of the risk. That source of the risk can be internal risk or an external risk. As if we talk about internal, they originate from inside the project, and thus the project manager may have a control over them. For example, market risk, technical risk, and so on. And if we talk about the external ones, these risks are generated from the sources outside the project. The project manager has little or no control over them. For example, competitors' action, government regulations, act of God, such as floods, rains, earthquake, etc. By what is known and by what is not known about the risk. Known knowns. This is we know the risk will happen and we know the time and its nature of happening. Therefore, we can have a plan and manage it with certainty, and thus the key is not a risk. Known versus unknowns. That is, we know the extent that the event will occur, but its degree or level is unknown. For example, rain will occur, but when and how long and its degree is not known. Unknown versus unknowns. They are fully uncertain events and cannot be thought in advance. No mitigation strategy can be planned. For example, act of course. Risk assessment method. Risk assessment is the process of estimating the likelihood of the occurrence of an event. It can be desirable or it can be undesirable, and its impact on project objectives. There are two ways of analyzing the risk, that is qualitative approach and the other one is quantitative approach. The qualitative risk analysis is generally performed on all risks for all projects, whereas quantitative risk analysis is based on the type of project, project risks, and the ability of data to use to conduct the qualitative analysis. Qualitative techniques. A qualitative risk analysis prioritizes the identified project risk using a predetermined or predefined rating scale. Risk will be scored based on their probability or likelihood of occurring and the impact on project objectives should they occur. The impact scale is defined by the organization. For example, a 1 to 5 scale, with 5 being the highest impact on the project sub objectives such as budget, schedules, and quality. As the impact of risk encountered in past projects are imprinted in the psyche of the project manager and will be remembered in the future projects, experts are requested to give their judgment on probability, which is denoted by capital P, of occurrence and the degree of impact, that is by I, for all the identified risks on the identified project objectives, such as cost, time, quality, scope, team performance, efficiency, etc. The experts provide their input on probability of occurrence of risk using the words very high, high, medium, low, and very low, as well as the inputs on the degree of impact of risk using word critical, major, cautionary, minor, and negligible. This is depicted in the table over here. If we talk about the impact, it can be critical, major, cautionary, minor, or negligible. Any value which is greater than 8 and between 10 is critical and its probability is very high. That means somewhere are between 80 to 100% the occurrence. If it is a major one, it is under high category. That means it will be between 60 and 80%. Cautionary, that is medium, between 40 to 60%. Low, 2 to 20 to 40%. And negligible, that is improbable, that is 0 to 20%. If we draw a probability impact index matrix, we see that at the top right corner, everything is on the high. That means that is the part of the highest risk. And it has been shown with red color. That means the impact is very high and the probability is very high. Similarly, if we move down towards the diagonal part of which is shown with green, that is the lowest risk area. That means the probability is very low and the impact is very low. Quantitative technique. A quantitative risk analysis is a further analysis of the highest priority risk, during which a numerical or quantitative rating is assigned in order to develop a probabilistic analysis of the project. Quantitative analysis allows to quantify the possible outcomes for the project and assesses the probability of achieving specific project objectives. Secondly, it provides a quantitative approach to making decisions when there is uncertainty. And thirdly, it creates a realistic and achievable cost, schedule, or scope targets. Some of the quantitative techniques which are normally used in risk management are discussed over here. We will start with Monte Carlo simulation. Monte Carlo simulation, which involves the random sampling of uncertain variables based on defined probability distribution function. Through this random sampling, a probability distribution of the output variable can be determined and the probability of failure can be calculated. The main criteria for selecting the appropriate probability distribution for input variables is the knowledge of characteristics of risk factor. One critical step in Monte Carlo simulation is to develop a model of relationship between dependent variables, which includes objective performance of project in terms of cost or budget or schedule or quality, etc., and the independent variables which are known as risk factors. However, Monte Carlo simulation does not determine the impact of risk and presents a limitation in assessing political and social risks. sensitivity analysis. It is used to determine which risks have the most potential impact on the project. It aids in understanding the extent to which variation of a project element affects a project objective when all other uncertain elements are held at their baseline values. Expected monetary value. EMV is used to calculate the contingency reserve. It calculates the cost of all the paths the project manager might take during the project. And what is expected monetary value? It is the product of product probability and the impact. The impact is the amount spent if a given identified risk occurs. The classical way to evaluate the EMV of a project is as follows. Take the cost estimate or the net present value of the project as the baseline, and we will call it as PV. Calculate the sum of EMV of all the threats, that is summation M EMV T. T is for threats, and the opportunities, that is EMVO. If the cost as a base value is considered, the sum, the EMV of the threats, and subtract the EMV of the opportunities. If revenue as the base value is considered, remove the EMV of threats and sum the opportunity EMV of opportunities. After calculation, we have the formula, basic formula, that is EMV equal to PV plus minus summation of EMV T plus minus summation of EMV O. After calculation of the expected monetary value of the project, it is added to the work cost estimate and generate the cost baseline. This amount is called the contingency reserve. Now, we take up a problem to understand what we have discussed. Suppose the project's total cost is somewhere around 10 lakhs for a software project, and the certain risks have been identified as negative risk, that is threat one, its probability, its monetary value, that is its impact, and what will be its EMV. Second one is negative risk, threat two, 10%, 2 lakh rupees, EMV is 20,000. Positive risk, that is we have opportunity, that is 20%. Impact value is 2 lakh rupees, EMV is 40,000. And similarly for the positive risk 2, that is opportunity 2, 50% is the probability, 1 lakh is the impact, and 50,000 is the EMV. Now we have to calculate the EMV. We will, what the formula says, we have the baseline is 10 lakh rupees, 10 lakh plus 30% of impact value, that is 3 lakhs, plus 10% of 2 lakhs, plus 20% minus, that is the opportunity, that is the risk threat, that is 20% of 2 lakhs and 50% of 1 lakh, which comes out to be 10 lakh 20,000. Another way to calculate and represent EMV is through decision trees. Now, the thing is that what is meant by decision tree analysis? It is denoted by DTA. Decision tree analysis uses EMV analysis internally. As the name suggests, a decision tree is about making decisions when facing multiple options. DTA takes future uncertain events into account. The event names are inside rectangles for which option lines are drawn. There will be decision points or decision nodes and multiple chance points or chance node. When we draw the decision tree, the probability value will typically be mentioned on the node or a branch, whereas the cost value is at the end. For calculation purpose, we move from right to left of the tree. The cost value can be on the end of the branch of the node. The best decision is the option that gives the highest positive value or lowest negative value depending upon the scenario. Now we take to understand this, we take a problem. A project manager is now into a new product development project and wants to develop a prototype. If he does the prototype, it will cost around 1 lakh, and he and the team do not make it, there will be no cost. If he goes for the prototype, there is a 30% chance that the prototype might fail, and the cost impact will be somewhere around 50,000. However, if the prototype succeeds, the project will make 5 lakhs. If he does not do any prototype, he is already taking a risk, the chance of which is 80% with a failure impact of 2,50,000. But again, without a prototype, should he succeed, the project will make the same money as mentioned before. What should he do? Now, this is a basic complicated problem which comes, no doubt, it can be treated as a practical problem. Now we have to analyze what we have to do. What we will do? We will draw basically a decision. The question is to make a prototype or not to make it. If we make a prototype, then two things. What is the cost for the prototype? And what if we don't go for the prototype? If we don't go for the prototype, we have cost is zero. And if we do prototype, it may cost, whatever I had mentioned in the problem, it is 1 lakh rupees and it is with minus. Now, moving further, for calculating EMV, the problem is again the same. Now, if we take do prototype and the cost is negative 1 lakh rupees, there are two possibilities as it was mentioned in the problem. 70%, if we have 70% of the success, the payoff will be 5 lakh rupees. How much we have having in hand? What is that? That is 4 lakh rupees. If we do prototype and we fail, that means 30%. 30% of what is payoff? Payoff is minus 50,000. 50,000. It comes out to be 1,50,000. If we don't go for the prototype, the cost is zero. And if we get a success, we will have a payoff of 20%. And if it is a failure, it will be of the cost of 80%. It comes out to be, after calculating all the EMP values of all the four stages, we can see that maximum is 4 lakh rupees and the minimum is 2,50,000. The net path value of the prototype is 70% success is 4 lakh rupees. The net path value of the prototype with 30% failure is 1,50,000. We can see that EMV for option 1, which comes out to be 2,35,000. And similarly for option 2, it is calculated. So what conclusion we draw? Looking at the EMV of the decision node with aid in decision making, EMV of option 1 is rupees plus 2,35,000. Whereas with the other option, no prototyping, you are losing money. Hence, the project manager should go for the prototype development. Moving further, we talk about risk response planning. Risk response planning involves developing responses to the identified risks that are appropriate, achievable, and affordable. Owners are also allocated to each risk response and are to be held responsible for its implementation and for monitoring its effectiveness. There are four risk response strategies. Depending upon the severity of the risk, the strategy can be adopted. First of all, this is how the management strategies are designed. It is basically a relationship between probability and impact. If we talk about the impact, it has five conditions with it: no impact, minor impact, medium impact, serious one, or catastrophic. And if we talk about the probability, no doubt it will be very low, low, medium, high, and very high. So starting with at the right corner, we see avoid. That means those are the conditions where the probability is very high and it is catastrophic condition. Seeking to eliminate the uncertainty by making it impossible for the risk to occur. That is, reduce the probability to zero, or by executing the project in a different way, which will achieve the same objectives, but which insulate the project from the effect of the risk, that is, reduce impact to zero. Some examples of avoidance strategy are changing the project scope, shutting down the project, adopting proven technology, and dependency of national supplies. Second one is transfer, identifying another stakeholder better able to manage the risk, to whom the liability and responsibility of an action can be passed. Some examples of transfer strategies are: establish a joint venture with renowned local partner, obtain local government guarantee to adjust tariff or extend concessions period, obtain payment and performance bond from local and international banks. And the fourth one is outsourcing. Reduce or mitigate. Reduce the risk size to make it more acceptable to the project or organization by reducing the probability or the impact. Some examples of mitigation strategies are providing training to the members, testing and prototyping, choosing high quality materials and equipments, and adopting a less complex process. Except recognizing that residual risk must be taken and responding either activity by allocating appropriate contingency or passively doing nothing except monitoring the status of the risk. Risk control measures. The final phase of risk management process aims to monitor the status of identified risk, identify new risks, ensure the proper implementation of agreed responses, review their effectiveness, and monitor changes on overall project risk exposure as the project progresses. Once the risks have been identified, assessed, and possibly analyzed, they are placed into the risk register. The risk register serves the purpose of helping the project team review project risk regularly throughout the project. Risk register should contain the following information: the area of the project in which the risk may materialize, risk identification number, brief description of the risk, the probability or likelihood of the risk occurring in determined with the risk assessment phase, impact value, that means the impact of risk, often in separate terms of time, cost, quality, or other related project and objectives framed, total impact value, that is the monthly value, risk score, combination of the probability and time impact values, ranking of the risk within the project, that is the ranked risks are those with a high severity and are active within the project. Now, this is basically a sample template of risk register, what we have said, how it is presented. What is the project title? Who documented it? That means who was the responsible person. And it was revised by, and what does it consist of? There are three main columns, that is risk identification, risk analysis, and risk resolution. ID who did it, reported by whom, date of reporting, risk type, nature, description of the risk impact, severity rating, occurrence rating, and risk rating. These all four categories are of risk analysis. And lastly, it is risk resolution. What is preventive rating? Action taken, risk priority, date of action taken, and date of action complete, and date of action taken. That means at the last stage. Now, risk review meetings we held to assess the current status of the risk to the project. And project review meetings should include status report from the project team on critical risks and agreed on responses. It is also essential to identify the residual and secondary risk after implementing the risk management strategies. The residual risk remains after all the responses strategies have been implemented, whereas secondary risks are a direct result of implementing a risk response. All projects have risk. To be successful, the organization should implement risk management proactively and consistently throughout the project. A deliberate attempt must be made at all levels to actively identify and pursue effective risk management during the project's life. Risk exists the moment a task is envisaged. Moving forward on a project without a proactive focus on risk can lead to a failure. Now, we move to Unit 12, that is Agile Project Management. Today's fast-paced moving technology world with a complex environment demands faster time to market with innovative and better quality deliverables. Project work ranges from definite to highly uncertain work. The definite project work is characterized by clear procedures and can be done successfully without traditional project management. The highly uncertain work requires experts to collaborate to create new designs, solve problems, and build the solution. This project has high rates of change, complexity, and risk. These characteristics can create problems for the traditional project management approach that aims to determine complete requirement upfront and control changes through the change request process. The agile approach explores flexibility in short cycles, and quickly adapts based on the feedback. Agile is a new approach to project management. Agile is an iterative approach to managing a project that helps the team deliver value to their customers faster and with effective handling of roadblocks. Instead of working on a requirement in one go, the agile team delivers work in small but consumable increments. Requirements, plans, and deliverables are evaluated continuously so teams have great visibility for responding to end users' needs quickly. It works on by breaking the project down into little bits of user functionality called user stories, prioritizing them and then continuously delivering them in short few week cycles or iterations. What is the manifesto for agile software development? In support of the agile way of working, IT industry thought leaders and experts agreed on a set of values that define a culture. They uncover a better way of developing software with the manifesto for agile. What are agile failures? Individuals and interactions, over processes and tools. Second one is working software, over comprehensive documentation. Third one is customer collaboration, over contract negotiation. And the third one is responding to change, over following a plan. As these values are very simple, but they help us to understand the application of the agile approach to any kind of project. A few years back, everyone has the mindset that these agile values and principles are applicable to only software development projects. However, that is no longer true. We are seeing agile adoption across the sectors and domains, even oil and natural gas or infrastructure projects do look forward to agile ways of working. The agile approach is all about the mindset and not specific to any framework or tool. That gives organizations the freedom to incorporate agile ways of working everywhere, including in personal life. What are the guiding principles of an agile project? Along with four agile values, the author defined 12 guiding principles. First one, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Secondly, welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change of the customer's competitive advantage. Deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months with the preference to the shortest time scale. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Builds project around the motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and the users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work done, is essential. And the best architecture, requirements, and design emerge from self organizing teams. And lastly, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. This we can see in four levels how this agile mindset is all about. It consists of mindset, values, principles, and practices. Agile is a mindset that is described by four values, defined by 12 principles, and enabled by various practices. Managing a project using an agile approach requires that the project team adopt to an agile mindset. The agile values and principles are helping the team to incorporate new ways of working in their behavior as well as the way they are delivering our work. What are the benefits of agile? The new ways of working have proven over a period of time that our team is able to achieve high customer satisfaction. Following are the core benefits of agile. First one, highly satisfied customers. Stakeholders are engaged throughout the project lifecycle so they can offer feedback and ensure that the final products will be suited to their needs. These deliverables will improve the overall customer experience. Second one is superior quality. interactive approach helps to improve deliverables with each iteration. After a few iterations, team is in a better position to manage the work. Third one, faster time to market. The prioritization approach in Agile is supporting the team as well as their customers in identifying high priority critical functionalities to be delivered first and building the rest of the features on top of the future iterations. Adaptability. Agile teams have the ability to respond to change, even at the last minute, and can adapt to it without much disruption. Being adaptable means teams can deliver consistently and manage clients' changing requirement effectively. Fifth one is visibility and transparency. Agile team works in iteration. This fixed duration makes it easier to predict costs for shorter time periods than for a long time project. Risk reduction. Regular iterations can thus help everyone is on the same page about where the project is going. This gives an opportunity to stakeholders to evaluate and make decisions based on business values after implementation cost. At any given point in time, the customers can decide to discontinue if business demands. Improved communication. Stakeholders are engaged from the start. Hence, it is easy for everyone to understand what we are focusing on and what are the challenges. The eighth one is innovative solution. Team can experiment and spend time to build the innovative solution. What are the challenges with Agile? Even though Agile offers a host of potential benefits to organization, it does come with multiple challenges. People do not like to change. It is a human behavior. Hence, we see a lot of resistance from the team to adopt or adapt to new ways of working when the organization announces agile transformation. No matter how many tools and processes we will provide, ultimately, employees have to change the way they are working. With this new way of working, team members will be afraid of losing their job. This means leaders need to be proactive about demonstrating the benefits of the new ways of working and and their benefits to individuals. Organizational processes become the biggest hurdle in implementing new ways of working. What is the comparison between waterfall and agile project management? In traditional project management practice, we start with gathering all requirements which are part of the project, followed by an analysis of a few weeks, followed by design again a few weeks, then coding, and finally testing for the entire project. These sequential steps take a lot of time for customers to experience actual product or deliverables. On the other hand, in agile practice, the team works with the customer closely from day one and it identifies which requirements are critical and important. Team focus on only those high priority requirements and finishes all the work related to these requirements and deliver to the customer for their feedback. The team continues to deliver small requirements quickly and frequently. Now we can see what is the comparison between waterfall and agile project. In waterfall or the traditional project management, the working culture, the command and control, and whereas in project management, it is servant leadership. Roles they are rigid, and in agile it is cross-functional because we are having iterations on on a regular basis. Delivery time is very long, and in agile it is short duration, maybe related to few weeks. Stakeholders involvement minimum, and in agile it's very high because we are interacting. Risk is very high. But in Agile, it is addressed early in the cycle. Expectation of customers may or may not meet, but on Agile project management, expectation of the customers are met. And value delivery, it is a project completion based and it meets customer needs. Now we move to block 4, which includes of two units, that is project closure, what is project contracts and partnering, and project audit and closure. We will start with unit 13, that is project contracts and partnering. First of all, what are contracts? What is a contract? A contract is a legally binding agreement that requires both parties to fulfill their end of the bargain, the seller providing the goods or services in exchange of for payments. It includes all agreements that, bearing express written authorization to the contrary, require the government to use appropriated funds for a specific purpose. The phrase contract type is used to convey a variety of meanings. It denotes a variety of different compensation plans, of which there are many. Most compensation arrangements, however, fall into one of two categories. It is cost reimbursement or fixed price. In another sense, the phrase contract type refers to variation in contract form or structure. A letter contract, purchase order, performance based completion, or term contract, for instance, are a few examples of this structure. In order to specify an intended end result, the term contract type is used. Contracts for supply, supply chain management, and research and development are few examples of this. What are the categories of contract types? The most preferred type of contract is typically one with a firm fixed price, while cost reimbursed contracts are the least preferred. With the exception of sealed bidding, the contract chosen should be specific to the facts of each individual case. For fixed prices for sealed bids or fixed prices with reasonable price adjustment are both required. Government contracts are agreements made by the government for a variety of tasks such as building management, maintenance, repairs, hiring of labor, IT related projects, etc. A contract qualifies as a government contract if it involves the federal government, a state government, or any other government entity. A contractor is a person or company that carries out a contract on behalf of the government. For instance, Larsen and Turbo may carry out a flyover construction project for the Tamil Nadu government. In a government contract, open bids are typically floated through sealed bids and requests for proposals may be issued. The suppliers would need to be GST registered and meet the requirements specified in the contract document in order to participate in government contract. Fixed price contracts. A fixed price contract is one in which the cost is determined without taking into account the time and resources used, which suggests that such a contract is entered into if the project's cost is already known. The agreement may also contain clauses relating to contract changes, reasonable pricing, or inaccurate pricing. It can benefit or harm either of the parties. To give an example, if if the prices suddenly rise The seller will lose some of his profit margins, whereas the buyer will benefit because he got a good deal. The same is true for the buyer also. Second one is cost reimbursement contracts. A cost reimbursement contract, in contrast to a fixed price contract, enables the contractor to claim all his expenses as well as additional payments to make for a profit. The government might suffer losses as a result of rising costs or the obligation to pay even when the task isn't completed, though we might argue that this would be an uncommon occurrence. When estimating costs is challenging, this type of contract is used. The contractor might offer estimated price in such circumstances. Third case is indefinite delivery contracts. When the length of the contract is known, but the precious time of delivery is not, the situation is called an indefinite delivery contract. It is a contract that ensures the delivery of an unspecified number of services within a specific time frame. This is usually done when the government is unsure of the number of services needed to finish the job. The typical time it takes to complete a contract of this time is 4 years. Indefinite delivery contracts come in three different flavors: definite quantity contract, requirements contract, indefinite quantity contract, and other categories of contracts. There are different bases for classifying the contracts. Some of the categories include the following: incentive contracts. The introduction of incentive contracts served to encourage contracts to complete their work by providing them with the financial incentives. Any of the following agreement could be considered as incentive contract, that is, fixed price incentive contracts, cost plus incentive contracts. Second one is time and material contract. Only when a thorough understanding of the time frame or the cost to be incurred is lacking is a time and material contract used. To assess the effectiveness of the work process under this kind of contract, government oversight is necessary. This contract is only entered into if none of the other contracts can be implemented. Similarly, to fixed price agreements, time and materials agreement have a ceiling price that the contract may not exceed at his own risk. Tenders. What is a tender? An official offer, such as takeover bid or an invitation to submit a bid for a project, are both examples of tender. The term tender typically refers to the procedure by which the government and financial institutions submit invitation bids for significant projects. There is a deadline by which these bids must be submitted. The expression tender or tendering can also refer to the act of shareholders submitting their shares or securities in response to a takeover offer. A request for tender or RFT, on the other hand, is a formal request or invitation to suppliers that asks them to submit aggressive bids to supply goods, services, and raw materials. In the private sector, the request for proposal is also known as RFP, that is, request for tenders, is most frequently used. In contrast to the request for tender and RFT, a tender is a document that the supplier submits in response to the RFT. Due to this, A tender is essentially an offer to the buyer to supply goods and services in accordance with their needs. What are the different types of tenders? To ensure that the work to be done for a government or a specific client is done reasonably and effectively. India now has an e-tender process that is well structured. For these reasons, the majority of institutions have a specific procurement that is conducted according to a set procedure and have set policies that instruct the institutions on how to decide and which tender to accept. This method involves a fair and transparent process for carefully examining, evaluating, and choosing the vendors. Open tender, selective tender, serial tender, negotiated tender, term tender. These are the different types of the tender. What is tendering process? The majority of institutions have procedures in place to control the opening assessment and final selection of vendors for projects or procurements. By doing this, the fairness and transparency of the hiring process is ensured. A request for tender, that is RFT, is a formal and structured invitation to suppliers to submit competitive bids to supply raw materials, product, or services. Due to the fact that this is a policy and open process, laws were made to regulate it and ensure that bidders compete fairly. Advertising the requirement. The opportunity may be promoted in a variety of ways, but it is will at the way least contain the following: e-tendering portal, e-tendering websites, which includes it is whether for supply to supply, or other websites for supply to supply. Selection stage, that is pre-qualification questionnaire. The selection stage may be carried out independently to the full tender process, in which case is known as pre-qualification, that is PQQ. It can be completed in a single stage alongside the collection of tender information. It assesses capacity, capability, and experience. Evaluation of selection stage. The evaluation of submission determines which supplier advance to the evaluation of their complete tender submission or shortlist and chooses those suppliers who are the best able to meet the requirements to be invited to the ITT, that is invitation to tender stage in the case of two-stage or restricted tender process. Invitation to tender, it is depending on the process used. The ITT might be open to all suppliers where selection and tender informations are combined, or it might be restricted to those who have advanced past the selection PQQ stage. Evaluation of tender submission. This is completed by the evaluation panel. And then F part is award of contract. The portal will be used to notify each tender submitting supplier of the selection of the winning bid. The successful suppliers and the grade received during the evaluation of tender submissions should be specified in the decision letter. Project partner. Partnership. A partnership is a company that is owned jointly by a number of people. The partners may be active partners in the operation of the business or passive investors. In the partnership agreement, it is made clear how the partners relate to one another, how much and what kind of ownership each partner has, and what their responsibilities are. What are the different types of partners? General partnership, limited partnership, and limited liability partnership. Partnering. The idea of partnering offers a framework for the development of shared goals among the construction team in an effort to arrive and a mutually acceptable dispute resolution process, and to support the idea of continuous improvement. Goals of partnering. The main purpose of partnering are to prevent disputes from escalating into expensive and destructive claim situation, and to make it easier to complete profitable, on time, and high quality projects. The next one is project partnering, the traditional competitive dynamic between owner and the contractor might be overcome by project partnering. By partnering, both parties can establish mutually beneficial goals and objectives and build a relationship based on trust and productivity. What is the advantages of project partnering? Typical benefits from project partnering would be reduced exposure to litigation, project outcomes, improved in terms of cost, time, and quality, reduced administrative and legal expenses, greater scope for innovation and value engineering, improved financial success prospects. What are the drawbacks of project partnering? Due to the nature, partnering can also elicit criticism from professionals and academics. Senior management identified the following criticism. When businesses must compete fiercely to win other projects, they face serious difficulties in establishing a culture of partnering for those projects. Partnering arrangement event companies from creating more lucrative new ventures. With this, we will conclude today's sessions.